Folks, happy Saturday to all you dweebs out there that got nothing going on Saturday night like Mount Polumbus does. I'm a big fat loser, and I hang out with my dog and my kids all day, and that's about all I do. So, hope you guys have had a nice weekend as I wipe the remaining food off my mustache. Beauty of having a beard, you get to save a little flavor for a little bit later anytime you want that sucker. I hope you guys have had a nice weekend. It is Saturday night here, so no big deal. If you guys got bigger and better things going on with your life than to hang out with me, Mount Polumbus Speaks here on Saturday night. But for the rest of you losers out there like myself, figured I'd take a few minutes here just to hang out with you guys and go over a few things before the Broncos get ready for the vets to report for training camp this week. The rookies already reported. And the big news that came out of Broncos training camp this week was that Jahdae Barron got his contract signed, as well did, and this was actually the bigger concern, believe it or not your first rounder. The bigger concern was your second rounder, RJ Harvey. RJ Harvey gets his deal done. Why was RJ Harvey a concern? Well, RJ Harvey was a concern because there's an epidemic going on this year with second-round draft picks holding out. Call it collusion, call it whatever you want to do. I'm not sure if it's collusion, if it's from the player's point of view, but basically every second rounder had come together and said because the Houston Texans gave a fully guaranteed contract to their wide receiver that they selected, all the second rounders were holding out. Well, good news for the Broncos is that RJ Harvey signed that deal. I'll give you guys the details of that deal. RJ Harvey, in the big picture, he actually did win in comparison to last year's second round draft pick at the same spot. He ends up with more money guaranteed. Von Miller signs a contract with the Washington Commanders. We'll talk a little bit about that. The TJ Watt deal is interesting. Could that have any effect on Nik Bonnitto? Now, Nik Bonnitto is not going to be looking at the type of money that TJ Watt got, but I've got some tie-ins there about why the Broncos might want to get ahead of things with Nik Bonnitto, and if I think that's a good idea or not. I'll just go ahead and tell you right now, even though financially it might be a good idea to get ahead of things, my opinion is that the Broncos should wait, and I'll tell you why a little bit later in the episode. But before we get going any further here, I need to take a quick second, as always, to thank my title sponsor, Safeway. Could not do this podcast without Safeway, and I also couldn't do it without you guys that watch Mount Polumbus Speak. So shout out to all you guys out there hanging out with me and all you guys that have been loyal listeners of Mount Polumbus Speaks since the beginning. But Safeway's been my favorite local grocer, serving Colorado families since 1926. Guys, from fresh produce to tender cuts of meat, Safeway offers local fruits and vegetables from Colorado farms, and they serve Colorado Proud Angus beef. Safeway proudly supports Colorado farms and local small businesses, from Olathe corn and Rocky Ford melons to Palisade peaches. So know that you support local when you shop at your local Safeway, and you can always learn more at Safeway.com or shop in store today. I love Safeway. They've been a tremendous partner of mine, both in philanthropic efforts and business efforts, and could not recommend Safeway any more than I already do. Okay, so I don't know if any of you guys caught the ESPYs. I thought Shane Gillis absolutely crushed it. I'm not going to break down the ESPYs. I'm not going to even break down any of the highlights of it. I thought it was hilarious how uncomfortable the crowd was. The crowd was afraid to laugh, and Shane Gillis freaking crushed it. Just one man's opinion. Not everybody wants to turn this into some political issue. It's not some political issue. I just thought Shane Gillis is freaking hilarious, and I think it's freaking hilarious how stuck up athletes are and how afraid they are to laugh at jokes. From the very beginning joke of SGA, everybody being in foul trouble that's sitting around him, and SGA couldn't even crack a freaking smile. It just cracks me up seeing these athletes that can't laugh at themselves or that are afraid to laugh for whatever reasons. But I thought the ESPYs were surprisingly good. I'm not a big ESPYs guy. Pretty much stopped watching them 10 or 12 years ago. No Colorado athletes won anything, but I thought Shane Gillis did a great job. Cracked a few jokes about Shedeur Sanders and nepotism and his jersey getting retired at the University of Colorado. I'm a buff. It was hilarious. Cracked a joke about Travis Hunter. It was a throwback to Norm Macdonald. Also hilarious. But it's neither here nor there. I just thought I'd bring it up because I thought Shane Gillis was fantastic. I thought he knocked it out of the park. And the athletes can't laugh. Grow up. Stop being so serious. Stop taking yourself so serious. Life ain't that serious. Okay, so the big news of the week, and if you listen to the last podcast that I did, it was all about RJ Harvey and whether he was going to sign his contract or not. Like I mentioned, the second rounders have been holding out as an entirety, as an entire group. They've all started folding over the last 4 or 5 days here. Actually, I wouldn't say they folded. I would say they're starting to get what they asked for. And RJ Harvey was one of the first dominoes to fall. Jahdae Barron got his contract done just in time for rookie training camp, and RJ Harvey, I believe, only missed 1 day of rookie training camp. So what ended up happening with RJ Harvey? Well, RJ Harvey was slotted based off where he was selected in the second round with a 60th overall pick to get a $1.99 million signing bonus as a part of his $7.36 million 4-year deal. Now, those dollar figures were slotted. What he was arguing for, what he wanted, was a bigger portion of that contract to be fully guaranteed. In previous years, certainly at his spot where he was selected at 60th overall, nobody had gotten any money in their third year guaranteed. So meaning years 1, years 2, they got plenty of money fully guaranteed. But by the time they got to year 3 and 4 of that contract, if the team wanted to get rid of you, they could cut bait, and they didn't owe you any further money. So RJ Harvey's representatives did a pretty good job of negotiating, and when it was all said and done, what the middle ground was between the Denver Broncos and RJ Harvey was a third-year salary that got 47.7% of that fully guaranteed. So, again, no new money was added to the deal. That $7.36 million deal, the 4 years of it, that was slotted based off where he was picked. But he ends up getting basically half of his third year's salary fully guaranteed. So if the Broncos cut him, he ends up getting at least half of that third year's worth of salary. So did RJ Harvey win the negotiation? Yeah, I guess so. If you look back at last year's 60th overall pick, and I knew it before, I'm drawing a blank on it. Gosh dang it. I think he went to Buffalo. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. Last year's 60th overall pick got 0% of his third year salary fully guaranteed. So RJ Harvey's 47.7%. That is 47.7% more than anybody else who had previously been selected with the 60th overall pick. So Broncos and RJ Harvey find middle ground. That's great news for RJ Harvey. It's great news for the Denver Broncos. RJ Harvey could not afford to miss training camp. And I'm glad that the two sides were able to get something done relatively quickly. He was one of the first second rounders to get his deal done. I think he was actually the third or the fourth. But then the dominoes started falling, and we've been hearing news every day about second rounders that have been signing their contracts ever since. So RJ Harvey why was it so important that the Broncos got that deal done? Because there's only about 2 or 3 positional battles on this entire football team, and there really might be only one truly authentic battle for who's going to be the day one starter, because the Broncos retained the most of their roster of anybody in the NFL. Nobody retained more players from last season than the Denver Broncos. What does that mean? It means you retained a lot of starters. What does that mean? It means training camp's going to be a little bit boring this year because there's not a whole lot of positional battles going on. The biggest positional battle going on, the most important positional battle going on, is going to be at the running back position between RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins. So that's great news that RJ Harvey got that done because he did not want to fall behind schedule. Look, I don't think that RJ Harvey has got a really good chance of being your day one starter. J.K. Dobbins is a phenomenal running back. He's had his injury concerns, but when healthy, J.K. Dobbins is really, really good. And R.J. Harvey's not ready to handle all three downs in the first few weeks of the season. I'm sure he'll get plenty of carries, and it might look like a 50-50 load, but when it all comes down to it, you're going to want your veteran, J.K. Dobbins, in there in the most important downs of the series, and third down is certainly one of the most important downs. So my prediction would be that J.K. Dobbins is going to be your day one starter, but that's far from guaranteed. And if R.J. Harvey just comes out in training camp blowing the doors off and lighting the world on fire, he could very easily be the day one starter. Very, very easily be the day one starter. I think it's unlikely, but it's the only true open positional battle that's going on this football team. Are there battles between Riley Moss and Jahdae Barron? Yeah, but you're going to have three corners on the field so much that it doesn't even really matter. Is there any battles going on the offensive line? Nope. Are there any real battles going on in the wide receiver room? Not really. Courtland Sutton's your starter. Devon Vele is probably your number two. Marvin Mims is your slot guy. Pat Bryant will be battling for playing time, but not for the starting position. QB's obviously settled, and that's all of offense. On defense, you've got your edge rushers back. You got your interior defensive line back. Dre Greenlaw is your starting inside linebacker, and Alex Singleton, if healthy, is your other starting inside linebacker. Your corners are going to be held down between some combination of Pat Surtain, Jahdae Barron, and Riley Moss, and then your safeties are Jones and Talanoa Hufanga. So not a whole lot of drama this year at training camp, but that doesn't mean that it won't be exciting. And, cross your fingers, hope and pray, knock on wood, whatever it is you want to do, that you don't have injuries early on in training camp. But the reality is that you usually do. In most training camps, you usually lose a starter earlier than you want to, and somebody's going to have to step up to the plate, and that will become an interesting storyline as soon as it becomes an interesting storyline. So Von Miller signs with the Washington Commanders. And as all great Denver Broncos that played for both teams did, checking the background. What's that? There's my other one. There's my Redskins one. I played for them. Vaughn played for them, and we're pretty much the same dudes, right? First ballot Hall of Famer, one of the two. The other dude's just nobody, whatever. But Vaughn, I'm excited for him. Von Miller, hold on. I'm going to pull this up really quick. Give me a second as I look it up. NFL all-time sack leaders. I believe Von Miller sits at number 16. Let me double check that. Yeah, so Von Miller in NFL all-time career sack leaders. Von sits at number 16. He's got 129 and a half. And if he were to just get, 7 more sacks, that would bump him up to number 10. If he could get 10 more sacks, that would bump him up to number 7. So in order to get to 10 more sacks, Von Miller would likely need to play at least 2 more seasons. I don't know if he's got that in him or not. I never saw the details of the Von Miller contract out with Washington, but I'm sure it was very cheap. And, the Commanders, they're going to get a 36-year-old, I think. I should look that up, but I believe Vaughn is 36 years old. And clearly getting towards over the hill, if not already over the hill. But if you could just put Vaughn in the situations that matter the most, you're going to get a pretty productive football player. And I think Washington can probably get at least 5 or 6 sacks out of him this year. And if Vaughn can hold on for another year or two out of that, he's got a very legitimate chance of cracking the top 10 NFL all-time sack leaders. So I'm not saying that's why Vaughn is still playing football. He plays football because he loves football, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have a little extra motivation to try to crack that top 10. And I'm rooting for him. I love Vaughn, teammate of mine. I don't win a Super Bowl without Von Miller. Obviously, he's had some off-the-field stuff, but it doesn't change my love for the human being. And I'm really rooting for Vaughn to have a successful year out there. Washington will be interesting to watch this year because they're the oldest team in the NFL. By age, I believe their average age was 27 and a half, which doesn't sound that old, but they've got like 8 or 9 dudes that are in their mid-30s, and that's ancient in NFL terms. So Dan Quinn and the Washington Commanders, they just continue to accumulate as many veterans as they possibly can, and they're going on a run trying to surround their young rookie, well, I guess he's not a rookie anymore, but Jaden Daniels, their young quarterback, with as many veterans as possible to make life easy on him. And I'm a huge Dan Quinn fan. I'm a huge believer in what he does, his philosophy, his coaching style. It's the most fun anybody will ever have in the NFL playing for Dan Quinn. It's unlike any other head coach. Every other head coach is such a negative experience. Football is just, God, it just grinds you down. And Dan Quinn is just all about affirmations and positivity, and it's an absolute blast to play football for Dan Quinn. So as a former Commander, former Redskin, I guess, now the Commanders, I'm rooting for Vaughn, I'm rooting for Dan Quinn, and I'm rooting for the Commanders to have some success this year. It'll be interesting to watch, though, these QBs, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, what's wrong with me? Our dude out in with the Patriots. Oh, gosh dang it. Drake May. Drake May, Caleb Williams, all the QBs that were selected last year. It'll be fun to watch them in their second year. Bo Nix really exceeded expectations in year one, and year two can be a struggle. I've been a part of this thing with Robert Griffin when Robert won Offensive Rookie of the Year and basically lost his starting job by year 2 and year 3, pretty much out of the NFL by year 5. And we've seen these sophomore year slumps. C.J. Stroud, how much of C.J. Stroud's sophomore year slump should be attributed to a terrible offensive line and all the wide receivers that got hurt? A lot of it. So I'm not saying that every quarterback has to go through a sophomore year slump, but I am saying I've seen it a lot. And I know everybody's got these astronomical expectations for Bo Nix this year. I'll tell you this. If Bo Nix could play in year 2 the way that he played in year 1, I'd be satisfied, and I'd call that another very successful year. As long as there's not a regression, there doesn't have to be some enormous leap from year 1 to year 2. Year 3 and 4, I want to see that enormous leap. But year 2, you're still a young football player. The NFL's starting to figure you out. And as long as you don't have a major regression, then I'll call it a successful year for Bo Nix. I do expect the Broncos to make the playoffs for whatever it's worth, and I expect Bo Nix to play good football. What else do we got? Okay, T.J. Watt ends up signing his deal. He signed a 3-year, $123 million contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. With $108 million in guaranteed money and $40 million signing bonus. Contract runs through the 2028 season. TJ Watt is a very, very rich man. Now, why do I bring that up? Because the Broncos still have some deals to be made either before the season or in season. Courtland Sutton wants a new contract. Zach Allen wants a new contract. Nik Bonnitto wants a new contract. Jonathan Franklin Myers wants a new contract. Broncos will not be able to do all those guys, not in 1 year. So they're going to have to prioritize them. If you listen to Mount Polumbus Speaks, you know that I think Courtland Sutton's going to be the first domino to fall. I do believe the Broncos will get a deal done with Courtland Sutton relatively early in training camp, definitely before the season begins. And the reason I feel that way is because two things. Number one, he's important to your football team. Bo Nix loves him. He's a bit of a whoopee for Bo Nix. And number two, financially speaking, I think it's one of the easier deals to get done. You're not going to have to pay Courtland Sutton $40 million. Courtland Sutton's probably, I think, going to be happy with anywhere between $21 to $24 million per year would be my best guess. I might be wrong on that, but that would make him somewhere in the ballpark of the 15th to 16th highest paid player in the NFL, and that's probably appropriate where his actual value is. So you get that deal done, and then you say, what next? Well, now you got to make a decision. You probably only got room for one big deal left. Are you going to give that deal to Zach Allen, or are you going to give that deal to Nik Bonnitto? Jonathan Franklin Myers, love you, appreciate you. You're a fantastic football player. I'm sorry, can't do it now. You're going to have to wait your turn. Zach Allen and Nik Bonnitto are what the Broncos are going to have to make their decision between. Nik Bonnitto has basically one fantastic year and one pretty good year. Do you believe that he is who he was last year? If the Broncos believe he is who he was last year, then you pay him as soon as you possibly can, because you see what TJ Watt is making. You see what the elite pass rushers are making. They're all making $40+ million per year. So the good news is, if you want to get ahead of things right now, you're not going to have to pay Nik Bonnitto $40 million. Maybe it's 30. I don't know. I have no idea what that figure is going to be, but it's not $40 million. So if you believe he's got the ability to be a top 5 pass rusher, then you pay him as soon as you possibly can, because that $40 million that TJ Watt just got, that's going to become $42 million for Micah Parsons. Whoever comes after Micah Parsons, that's going to become $45 million per year, $43 million per year, whatever it might be. So the money just goes up and up and up. It never goes down. And the earlier you can get ahead of these things, the better it's going to be for the Denver Broncos and for Nik. Well, probably not for Nik Bonnitto. I don't know. But if you come to Nik now, the benefit for him is he gets the cash up front, doesn't have to worry about injuries, all those sorts of things. Okay, so that's the case about why you pay Nik Bonnitto. Here's why I would not pay Nik Bonnitto. Not yet. Number one, because I think that Zach Allen, as it stands today, is a better football player. Zach Allen was a dominating force playing from the interior defensive line, and those guys are so hard to find. You can find edge rushers. You can find pass rushers. Finding dudes that play the 4-eye spot like Zach Allen plays that can get after the QB, those don't come around. And Zach Allen is, as of today, a far more consistent, a far more proven product than Nik Bonnitto. So if I only have room for one, I'm probably choosing Zach Allen now, and I'm telling Nik Bonnitto, hey, man, let's talk in the middle of the year. And that's a risk, because if Nik Bonnitto comes out, you're halfway through the season, and all of a sudden he's got 10 sacks. Now what you might have been able to get done for $28, $30 million per year, all of a sudden he might say, hey, I want to be the highest paid pass rusher in the NFL. I want $42 million per year. And that would suck, because you had the chance to get ahead of it. But I guess my perspective is I haven't seen enough to believe that he's truly an elite pass rusher just yet. I know he's good, but is he elite? I'd rather see him prove it. And I guess I'd rather overpay down the road for something that I know is real than pay a boatload of money up front right now for something that I'm hoping is real. It's a gamble. Either way, you got to make a decision, and it's not going to be an easy decision. So I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not predicting that's how the Broncos are going to go about business. It's just how I would do it. And I do think that I'm going to be right about Courtland Sutton being the first domino, though. I do think that that contract gets done before the season, and then they probably make a decision between Zach Allen and Nik Bonnitto. All right, appreciate you guys hanging out with me here on Mount Polumbus Speaks on a Saturday night. I know you guys could be doing a million different things. You could be being cool, unlike me. Fortunately, there's a couple other losers out there that got nothing going on that's hanging out, and hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. If you haven't subscribed to Mount Polumbus Speaks, hit that link in my bio on X. Go on over to YouTube and hit subscribe. That's where all my content lives. I put out content that is unique to the YouTube platform. So if you like what I do and you don't want to miss any content, make sure you hit subscribe. And you'd also just be doing me a huge solid. So know that I'd be very, very grateful if you would help me grow my YouTube channel over there as I try to grow that thing. So I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your weekend, and I'll be